Hello, Lion Nation. Welcome to the first Varsity Football Podcast for 2023. We are excited. We are here at the HobbyShop over here in Leander, and we'll talk a lot more about that, but we're getting a nice pan shot here of us. That's not important right now. But we'll
cool
show
store, though.
Yeah, we'll show the kids, and we'll talk about the store here shortly, but we wanted to give everyone a good look here of the HobbyShop. It is really neat. It's over here just slightly behind Golden Chick over on Lacey Drive, the road right behind that on the west side of 183, kind of near Discount Tire, a little bit north of Planet Fitness. But we are over here. It's been open since December of 2022.
Yeah, they've got radio control cars. They've got radio control planes. They've got the four-wheel drive cars and a number of other things, including drones and all other assorted hobbies, especially the modern types. You know, they didn't have this cool stuff around when we were kids. The closest thing to a flying plane was the rubber band thing that you would wind up.
Yep. No, they have boats. They have models. They have paint. They have parts for your RC cars. So if you have some old ones in your closet, bring them up here. They can probably get it going again. But it's really, really neat. And you can see they have a indoor drift track. And this is only one of 4 in Texas.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yep, and it's one of the biggest ones, and people travel from Houston and Dallas to come down here on the weekends. You can get a monthly membership here. It's really, really cool, so come check it out. This is something relatively new in the area, and I know the boys came in and their eyes and jaws dropped open when they were watching these cars on this drift track.
Yeah, for some reason they weren't as in a big a hurry to get to the pizza when they saw the cars.
Definitely not. But, hey, we're here. We are here at the HobbyShop, and it's being hosted by Shark Burger. They're bringing the food in tonight. The boys will be in the other room, so we're going to talk a little football here for a while. I'm Mark Sickles here with Chuck Cracy. Yes, and we're here with Coach Price in a minute. So we want to thank the HobbyShop for hosting us.
So come on, crowd. Let's hear it for the HobbyShop, guys. A little bit louder. I know y'all can be louder than that. Let's go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And if you want to come in here, get in touch with Joe at the HobbyShop. He can set you up. He can get you anything you need. So talk to Joe at the HobbyShop. The phone number here, 512-528-4226. It is the HobbyShop TX. So check it out. Well, Coach Price, good to see you again.
Great to see you guys.
Good to see you, Coach.
Excited for another year with you guys.
Definitely. So before we even get into football, how's your summer?
Probably not long enough, but it was good. Got to see our guys, all summer long, so it was exciting to, still get a chance to see them and work with them. But we all like a little vacation time and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about vacation first. We have enough football we'll talk about. What'd you do for vacation?
We were able to go up back to the Metroplex and see family and stuff like that. So, nothing too major, no trips or international or anything like that, but had a great summer and, ready to get started back to work.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the summer. Before we even talk about the workouts, talk about the heat.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, how do you deal with that and your workouts and just the temperatures that we've had and getting them – get water into them? What do you do? I mean, are there limitations? Is there a heat index where you can't practice? Talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, the weather and the heat's a big thing that we're dealing with right now, and it's something that our athletic trainers have done a great job of keeping us prepared for. We talk about, hydration and water intake throughout the summer, and so they understand kind of our approach to it, and they've done a great job this year of keeping themselves prepared to work out in this weather, and then our trainers help monitor it for us. We're looking at the heat index. There's a new I won't call it new, but wet bulb is kind of the language that people are using now. The UIL has talked about the wet bulb temperature, and so we're starting to kind of move towards that throughout the district. And so the way it impacts practice is simply when we get to the point where our heat index is kind of around 107, we start paying attention a little bit more. If we need to modify, take off the full pads and go to shells or just go to helmet only, we do that. Obviously, our trainers are looking out for athletes that might be showing signs of heat illness. We expect our athletes to, be in communication with us and be honest with us about how they're feeling, kind of keep us informed about that so that we can help them make a good decision about the heat and what they need to do.
So how much do you have to drink a day?
A gallon of water is simply, a good rule of thumb just in life in general. Try to get a gallon down. Obviously, if you're going to be out in the sun and doing what we're doing, carrying the shoulder pads and the full pack, you want to try to get more than that. Every 24 hours. Nutrition eating food is just as important. It's not just the water.
Yep.
It's also, what you eat. And the UIL has rules in place for acclimatization and getting the kids ready before we actually start games. So all of those things play a role in how successful you're going to be, dealing with the heat early in the season.
Well, and it seems like heat has gotten progressively worse, but we've seen some tough summers in the past.
Sure.
Of course, you weren't here at Leander in 2012, but we had several stoppages of practice throughout the district due to excessive heat. Have you run into any problems with that, or have you adjusted the schedule?
Sure. No, I think our district does a good job of, helping us navigate all of the different, heat issues we're dealing with. We have rules in place, and when we start getting up to like I said, the 107, we're paying very close attention to what we're doing, and anything above that, we have a chance to modify practice or move practice indoors.
What are the odds of us getting a bubble one day, Coach?
I would be all for that.
I'm sure.
I think it would help everybody.
It was funny because I went up to Dallas not too long ago, and I went to Richardson High School. My wife went to Pierce.
Okay.
And a lot of those high schools up there, they have an indoor practice facility.
Sure.
It seems a lot of the schools up there have that. We don't have a lot of that down here. Has there been talk about that?
Sure. I think, I coached in the Metroplex for a long time. I think the Metroplex is different because you're talking about the winter months. It gets pretty cold, and it's hard to get, baseball practices in. If you make the playoffs, it's hard to get a football practice in November and December. So that's kind of where they kind of got a head start. Now we're seeing the heat really impact us here, and so we got to think the same way about how do we minimize the heat. I think there's conversations being had. I think you kind of have to. So hopefully we're moving in that direction for the safety of kids.
Right. Well, good. So now let's get to football and practicing. Talk about how the kids are dealing with the heat. Talk about when you started. Talk about the energy level. What are you feeling from the kids?
Sure. This is very exciting right now. We started on July 31st, which, starting football in July just seems weird, regardless of when it is in July. And so we started in July. We didn't have spring ball this past year, so
how does that affect practices?
Sure.
Talk about that so people that don't know.
Yeah, we get an extra week of practice if we don't have spring ball. That's what allowed us to start earlier this year. And so, we have a lot of kids that participate in multiple sports. We have especially a lot of baseball players, and so we would have missed some guys in the spring had we done it. So we pushed that, got to start earlier this year, got a whole team together. This was the best summer that we've had in terms of attendance. We had a lot of kids there with us all summer long. So a couple of years ago with all the COVID stuff, we were able to do some skill stuff through the UIL. So we're able to actually kind of practice in the summer, which is pretty cool. So kids got some extra practice, which I think put us ahead a little bit of where we've been in the past. And so to start this year off, it's been great. We've had two really good scrimmages. We scrimmaged Kyle Lehman a couple of weeks ago. This past Friday, we scrimmaged Marble Falls, two teams that run something unique on offense. It's a toughness game to see if our kids will tackle, and that's probably what I was worried about the most, is just not having made contact in so long. And they did a great job. They were physical and they played hard, and offensively we executed, so we were excited about it.
So you feel pretty good about the run stopping for this defense then?
Yeah, we've made some transitions defensively, and we've got a lot of kids that can play in our box that we're excited about, some young kids and some older kids just across the board, and we think they're going to give us a good chance to be good against the run. And we're pretty young in the secondary. We got a lot of sophomores that are going to have to step up and play in some of those roles, but they've done a really good job through our 7-on-7 season and then early on in this season.
Some of them sophomores can be very fast and athletic.
Yes,
so
yes, they can be. So we are excited about them.
Definitely.
So we have Pflugerville coming up Friday. This is our first non-district game.
Sure.
Going through the schedule, looks like Pflugerville, and then it looks like then we stop with Bastrop, then Del Rio. And I know last time we had to drive all the way down to Del Rio, which is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, I was like, we got to drive all the way to Del Rio, and it turned out to be an exciting game and a cool atmosphere.
Sure.
And so it looks like Pflugerville, Bastrop, Del Rio.
Del Rio's going to want some revenge, I think.
Yeah, they get to come up here this time, though, so we're excited about that, too.
So
Definitely.
Let's talk about Pflugerville. It's going to be this Friday at the field. And, we're excited about, the season getting going, starting and, seeing the new kids, the new faces. Talk about Pflugerville.
Yeah, this is one of the longest, if not the longest running series in the state of Texas. I found that out when I took over in 2019.
Yes, sir.
So it's very important that this game gets played every year. I know a lot of people look forward to it. It's been back and forth for the time that I've been here. We've won a couple. They've won a couple. It's always a pretty competitive game. I think last year for the season opener, I think we played really well on defense and, got going offensively late but got going, and so we were excited about that. This year, it's going to be a tougher game. They're a little bit older and a little bit more mature. They have a quarterback that's pretty talented, so we're going to have to deal with him. And like I said, we're a little young in the secondary, so it's going to be a good test for our secondary guys.
That's a great test. That's what you need.
Sure.
I mean, if you have a cream puff and they get a little overinflated, hey, we're going to be a good team. Look at us. We beat whoever 28-0.
Sure.
And then you go up against someone in district and you kind of get punched in the face.
Sure.
It's almost better to play tougher teams non-district
early on.
Get ready for the district run.
Absolutely, and that's what Pflugerville has really been for us. They've been that good test early on in non-district, and so we're excited about the opportunity we're going to have on offense. We think we can take advantage of some things, and that's where a lot of our experience comes back. We got a lot of guys coming back on offense, so it's going to be a good test, but we think we got a good shot at it.
Well, not getting into any specifics, but have you made any changes on offense? Any type of philosophy, defense, or more of the same, but basing it on the kids and the skill levels? Or what are we going to be looking at this year? Let's go offensively first.
Sure. Offensively, our whole attitude offensively and defensively is, do whatever our kids can do.
Sure.
And so we're always going to look at what they are going to have the most success at, and that's what we're going to work on. So offensively, I feel like we have a lot of guys that can really run the ball, and we have a lot of talented running backs. So, we've adjusted kind of what we're going to do in the run game to try to fit each of their different styles. And then we have a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field. And so, we're going to try to do some play action stuff out of our run game and let him throw it.
Good.
So how does that depth look in the running back room?
It's the deepest it's been since I've been here. I feel like we have three really solid running backs, all that can do, different things, but they all can be very productive. And, it's hard to find running backs. Honestly, you have so many places, linebackers, and then the secondary you're trying to fill up. And so sometimes some of those guys leave the running back room to go do something else, but we feel like we have three pretty good ones right now.
So a lot of times the effectiveness of those running backs in the quarter, well, most times, are predicated on how good the offensive line is, how well they play as a unit. Talk about those curmudgeons up front, the big uglies.
Yeah, it starts with our center, Ryan Casimir. He kind of got thrown into the fire last year, and I mean, for a kid,
by fire is sometimes the best thing.
Yeah, and for a kid to not really have expected to play a lot, he handled it like a champ, and so that's continued throughout this year. He's a leader for that group, and everybody that's on the line with him is towing the line with them. Like, they're really working hard. We're really excited in terms of, just kind of team leadership. We see those guys kind of get out and get in front and do a lot of things because of the offensive line and how they're acting.
It's really easy to have a 6'8" guy tackle and to just run to that side. But, Leonard doesn't always have a lot of 6'8" guys they can put on the end there to block. It's more of a team effort.
Sure.
So talk about their cohesiveness a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing. We were able to get out and do some things this summer with them, Lyman Challenge, just to get them going and staying together. And it was awesome to see those guys compete with each other and work hard together. And like I said, they've carried that over to the first parts of practice. Like, there's some of the guys that are the most excited about what we're doing, and they they do have the hardest job. And so sometimes it's hard to get the offensive linemen excited about, being out in the heat. And they like being out there. They like being with each other. So,
well, being a former O-lineman, I will concur with your statement that it is the most difficult job out there on the field. There aren't very many 6-7 play drives in high school. Sure. A lot of times they're less than that. But you get anywhere over 4 or 5 plays in a row, those big guys up front are breathing pretty hard.
Kind of gas.
No matter how conditioned they are,
sure.
It's tough work up there pushing a guy that sometimes is 20, 30 pounds bigger or, every bit as big or strong as you are.
Sure, absolutely.
So let's flip to the defense. What are we going to see this year on defense? Talk about that overall.
Yeah, there's kind of been a change in the type of kids that we have. We talked about the offensive line, and I'll talk about the defensive line on defense. We just have a lot of those type of kids. We have a lot of defensive ends and a lot of defensive tackles, and we're excited about all of them. They've worked just as hard as the offensive line trying to get prepared for the season. We've got some young guys there that – in theory it should be tough for, but even when we've looked at Marble Falls and Lehman, 2 pretty, big and physical teams, they did a really good job against them. So we're definitely excited about our defensive line, and I think as we progress back in our defense, we get a little bit younger. Like I talked about, our secondary being young. We also have some guys at linebacker that are young that are going to get opportunities and shots. But the bottom line is on defense, if you will get to the ball, run to the ball, you got a chance to be successful, and that's what they've shown for 2 scrimmages.
Yeah, and if the defensive line can hold their own or get a little bit of a push, that improves the defense so much.
Absolutely.
That lets the young guys in the secondary grow a little bit.
Yes.
And learn a little bit, and you're not relying on them to come up and make those tackles at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
So, good. That'll be exciting to see.
Well, you get into district play, and there are a lot of running teams in this district. Traditionally or currently, most offenses run a little bit of a spread, but these teams kind of run a little bit of a for lack of a better word, a flex bone or something out of that spread. You got Glenn, you got both of the teams from College Station, Cedar Park always runs the ball well. So those 2 scrimmages earlier this year, Lehman and especially Marble Falls, who's primarily a running offense, should benefit us. Those blocking schemes can be a little bit different. How do you prepare them for the district play when they get into those spread running attacks?
Yeah, those blocking schemes, the blocking schemes look a little bit different because of the number of guys you have at the line of scrimmage, but the concepts are very similar, and so that's the part that benefits us. We're going to see power, counter. Those are the basic things that we're going to see. We get to see those in a heavy dose when we go play Lehman and Marble Falls, and so there's that opportunity to improve on that stuff. And then I think, what we were able to do in the summer through some of our summer strength conditioning camps and our workouts, we were able to show them some of the other things, the zone concepts and the stretch concepts.
Well, I think it's going to be really important in district play to force those teams that are run heavy to get uncomfortable and try to throw that ball and maybe put those little sophomores to the test.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, and
Always.
we will definitely see you on Friday.
Thank you. Good
Again,
luck
the
on
first
Friday,
game
Coach.
is this Friday at the field against Pflugerville. So we will see them there. And the next person we have coming up is someone that everybody knows, that we see him at everything for the high school. You talk about sports, you talk about bands, you talk about cheer, you talk about just being there for the kids.
I think he pretty much lives there.
I think so, too. Principal Simpson. Let's give him a big round of applause. All right.
You better clap because he's watching.
No, it's great to have you up here. I mean, we've talked throughout the years. I mean, I know Chuck had some going through. I had Madison and Michael and Mason, and you were always there. And you're there for the kids. You're there for the graduation. You were there during COVID. You were there doing all this stuff. And as a parent, I want to say thank you for that. You're involved.
Yes, definitely.
And I know every person that we're involved with, they love how involved you are with the school and the kids. So thank you for that. A lot of principals aren't, and you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
So let's talk about summer. What'd you do?
Well, I want to point out, because you just said this is the first year in 7 years I've not had a Sickles or Crazy roaming my hallways.
That's true.
Yep.
That's a little strange. So, no, we had a great summer. We got 3 weeks. I don't know what the district messed up on the calendar, but I ended up with a third week off. So
Nice.
we did a little bit of vacationing, working around the house. So just getting ready for the school year. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So good. So when does your school year end?
School year this year ended 3 weeks after graduation.
Okay, so you got
roughly
3
about
weeks?
About June 19th is
Okay.
when school ended for me, and then I was back on July the 5th, July the 6th, and I've
Wow.
been back ever since.
Right
so-
after the holiday, huh?
Right after the holiday, yes.
So talk about what you do outside of school preparing during the year. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of parents out there who say, oh, he just shows up and does a principal thing. What do you do over the summer?
Bunch of glad handing, right?
Well, this summer was, this summer as we're trying to get ready, for the big bond projects that are coming up, Coach Price and I kind of worked on what needs to happen, as
Indoor
we don't really know a
bubble.
lot of plans yet, right? So we don't have a lot of plans yet. So we've been working on what needs to be cleaned out, what's going to go where. It's a lot of planning for professional development, hiring. I know this summer we were fortunate to hire Coach Flores, which is actually the only coach that we hired this year. So lots of hiring, lots of getting ready for PD, lots of just planning, just lots of different things. But this year in particular, being the last summer that we think, tentatively speaking, that we're going to have that athletic wing as is, we spent a lot of time kind of talking about what that's going to look like in construction, because that's going to be a major project.
So talk about that. What's the plan? Or what do you hope? What do you hope will happen?
Well, we need them to name an architect here pretty quick, and as soon as they get that done, then that will start rolling. They've talked about construction beginning next summer, and that be a year project. But the whole project, the master redesign of Leander High School, is going to be 6-7 years out. So it's going to be a little ways, multiple bonds being passed, and we know how political those can be these
Yes.
days. So, but I think once people see what we do at LHS with Coach Price, Coach Atkinson's area, that they're going to go, oh, yeah, we need to do it. I mean, big things. We're moving Gym 2 up next to Gym 1. They're making a corridor straight from the pack over to the science wing. So it's helping with flow, a lot of things like with flow, and then just making a much more livable space for the athletes. So, and we want to get rid of all the rats. So we've been working on that this summer too.
Is that
Till
an issue?
25, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we complained enough year after year, and I know Melissa, my wife, complained. We couldn't even get the gym painted.
No.
You have to go through the steps, and you have to put it on the list.
You have to
and
flood
then
it in order to get it painted.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know,
Get a new
so-
floor.
And just to get a paint job in the gym, we couldn't do it. I mean, there's like a list. Oh, we got to do this school first, and then this, and we arguing about batting cages. Why does this school get them and this doesn't? I mean, there's always something saying, why can't we do this?
Whereas it in North Texas, so they just have that half indoor practice facility
Yes.
that goes up, and Coach Grissom can't even get a dadgum awning over one of his batting cages.
I know. Yeah, it's frustrating just as parents and as fans to see that. You see all these other schools and everything there, and you're like, why can't we do it? Well, it's up to the district, and that's what's frustrating.
Well, I think
so
it's been
hopefully we
something
can, hopefully these bonds can get pushed through, and we can actually get all the stuff that we need.
It's been renewed since Coach Price got here, our parental involvement, and I just hate that a lot of the times, our booster clubs are told no for reasons that, really I don't even know a lot of the times. I'm like, well, that just doesn't make any sense. And then you plug your ears and go la la la, and hey, when do we get turf in the varsity locker room? Cool, that's pretty awesome.
Well, do you think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're limited on your space and there's already existing facilities everywhere, whereas a lot of times when a school is fairly new, they already plan to put something in this area or that area when they purchase the land. And,
like
and
Lynn,
develop
for
it.
example, all the practice fields, turf.
And if you saw in the bond meeting back in May, I kind of talked about it being a conglomerate of buildings. You remember when I was there in the late 80s and early 90s, it was just mainly what that main building was. You didn't have the social studies wing, you didn't have the PAC, you didn't have the science wing, and they've just added chunks throughout the years. And so this is hopefully going to help with that flow and,
Y'all
make
had
it
a
easier.
grass field back then.
We had grass, and they're all at the back, like where
Yeah.
the kids park now. I mean, they were all at the back. I mean, and so we've had lots of – and so, yes, I think that the space itself, and we're constantly fighting – like when we want to add something outside, we have this notion of impervious cover. right? So
Well, we don't get
you
rain
can't-
anyway, so what does
exactly.
it matter?
I don't know what we're worried about.
And the rain will go around it, I would think, into the grass. So
Ask
I
Coach
don't-
Driver.
Uh,
Yeah, the
yeah.
rain goes right to her softball field. She loves that, especially out left field. So
So talk about how often are you at home doing nothing school-related during the school year?
ooh, wow. See, this week
So,
this week is 2 nights.
so give me the normal week. Football season, your normal week.
Yeah, football season, my normal week. So I'd say tonight would have been one of the only nights I was home, because tomorrow night will be volleyball. We got my son. Actually, I'll be home Wednesday night, but Tyler's got games at that school a little bit east of here, across the
Yes.
tracks. Where's the maroon and gold? We don't like to talk about that much.
Yeah.
And then obviously I've got our game on Friday night. So
Right.
and then I get Saturdays are usually for Longhorn football, and then Sundays it's whatever the area superintendent that lives in my house has me doing. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to get into that. So how did that work, or how does that work with the superintendent always around?
Yeah,
you know,
that's got to be tough.
it's tough on her.
your
Coach
boss
Price will
around
tell
the-
you. Coach Price will tell you it's tough on her. The nice thing is I get to be me, because you have
Right.
to kind of dance around stuff.
She
and
already knew you
I just let her have it.
before
Absolutely.
she got that job. so.
Absolutely.
So
That's
in
awesome.
So in the spring, does that change, or what is your busiest time of the year? Is it in the fall, in the spring, or just it doesn't matter? There's
It doesn't
always
matter. I mean, I would say, as you pointed out, I try to go to everything. I try to be at everything, and I really like. Probably the slowest time is that winter time, the wrestling soccer season, because it's really the only two things going. I mean, you got basketball, but I would say the busiest times are the bookends. I mean, when you're getting up to that testing season in May, although there's probably out there, everybody listening probably thinks, oh, they don't do much. Oh,
Right.
man, it is nonstop. It's shuffling kids. You got senior awards. You got graduation practice. You're chasing around hours. I mean, you're doing all of that stuff. And so it's real busy, and then you hit graduation, and you okay, now we got to start picking up for 24, 25.
Yep.
So,
Right, and then the cycle starts all over
and it
again.
all starts all over again. Yes.
Right.
No, but it's once again, everyone I know appreciates you so much
I
for
appreciate
being there for the kids. I mean, I remember some of the football games. I think they're pushing you up in the stands. You're there, with the cheerleaders doing the cheer. They lifted you up one time. I know when my daughter was there. You're always at the basketball games, baseball games, football. You're everywhere, and it's great to see.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
and
it.
I don't think it's just because it's your job. I think you enjoy it.
Absolutely, I do. I mean, I love coming out. I mean, I know most of these kids, and as they get to be freshmen, sophomore, the freshmen are a little shy right now. Like, they're gonna look at me like, why is this guy talking to me? And the upperclassmen are like, you'll figure it out. He's
Yeah.
pretty chill. So, I mean, I do love what I do. So, I mean, you can tell stories of. I got stories of the crazy kids. I got, Jeremy, graduation. He sent me a message on Twitter and asked if he could wear his Crocs to graduation. I said, absolutely not. He comes walking across at graduation in his green North Texas Crocs. And, what am I going to do at that point? Take them off? No, I just kind of laughed. And, come on, it's your graduation. I've already done this once. So
It's been long enough out. He did ask me if he told me that you told him no, and I said wear them anyway. He'll get a kick out of it.
And I absolutely did. It's
Yeah.
great. It's those things that stand out,
Yep. No, it's been great. So appreciate you coming here tonight.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you were here. And, we'll see you on Friday.
I'll be there.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you
Principal
all. It's always great to
Simpson.
see
Give him
y'all.
a big round of applause, everybody. So we have a couple. We're going to have Coach Flores up here in a minute. But before I get to him, I went ahead and printed off this list of sponsors, and whoever's on the Booster Club did an awesome job. Let me just go through this list here. We have the Hobby Shop. We're here tonight. Grissom Insurance Group with Heather Grissom. Sharksburger. Mayfield Dairy Queen. We have McDonald's of Leander. We have LAC Fitness Wellness Recovery. We have Jennifer Mock at Frontier Bank. Black Rock Coffee Bar. Family House Worship. Modern Shade. Toyota of Cedar Park. Mosaic Dentistry. Guaco Taco. Top Shelf Photo Booth. Texas Pools and Patios. We have Golden Chick of Leander. Ureth Girl. Marble Slab and Great American Cookie. Mercy Veterinary Clinic, or Hospital, I'm sorry, Austin Telco, Lot Governmental Affairs, Blue Bottom Pools, Jamba and Auntie Annie's, State Farm with Shannon Johnson. We have Whitestone Jewelry, JT Ryersdorf, State Farm Insurance, Becky Hogan at Dignity Dwellings Realty, and Rush Automotive. They are your Booster Club and
Mark,
podcast sponsors.
We have never had even a third of that many sponsors in the whole time I've been doing this, and that's well over 10 years.
Yeah, so we're gonna tweak that, and we're gonna do a promote those. I know there are different levels, but I wanted to read them all out tonight. But great job in getting everyone involved. Go check them out. So
we may have to make recordings for those.
I think so.
We're going to run out of breath doing the broadcast, just reading the sponsors.
Yep. All right, so our next coach, Alec Flores, the new coach here for Lee. So welcome. Nice to meet you.
Welcome aboard, Coach.
There you go.
Look, you got a crew. Are those all your D tackles over there?
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Few of them.
He should be a D tackle.
Well, that's one way to do it. You start recruiting every chance you get. Hey, you don't even know it's the best position in defense.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the whole defense predicated on how well your D tackles play. That's why they rotate them out.
Got to.
So new coach. So where were you before? Tell us about where you started and how you got here.
Well, I'll start with telling you that whenever Coach Price was at Bernie, he actually coached me because that's where I played. So
okay.
For my freshman and sophomore year, he was my coach, my defensive coordinator, and all that. And then I actually just came from Comfort ISD. I was coaching at the high school, and I was there for 2 years. I felt like I grew a lot there, and coming up here just made me grow a little bit more. So each day I'm growing more in football knowledge, and am I not being loud enough?
I don't know. You can turn that up over there on that speaker. Here,
Each day I'm growing more as a football coach, and but yeah, I'm from Bernie, so
okay. So how'd you end up here at Leander?
Well, this is where I wanted to work. I actually talked to one of the coaches that was at Bastrop, and he was at Bernie too whenever Coach Price was there, and I talked to him, and he told me that he asked me where I wanted to be. I said, well, the Leander area, and he said, you know the coach at Leander? I was like, no, I don't. He goes, yeah, you do. It's Coach Price. I was like, oh, well, I want to give him a call. So, and that's how I ended up here. I as soon as he told me that, I jumped on it and I called him, and this is how I ended up here.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So when were you officially hired?
Oof. I was officially hired probably in May. I signed my contract.
Okay, so right at the end of the year?
Right at the end of the year.
So you were here in time to start.
And I didn't move down here till about mid-July. But I came down. I drove down.
It's not that far from Bernie to here.
Oh, it's about 2 hours. But I have a buddy that lives an hour away, so I just stayed with him, and I drove there, and I drove to Leander from there for a couple of weeks, just to get to know the guys and get to know the coaches and just be part of the Leander.
Nice. So you're going to be the defensive tackle coach. Talk about that. Talk about the kids that you've been coaching over the summer and getting ready for this fall.
These kids have probably had the most energy and just wanting to be there that I've ever coached. It's exciting to have that. I wouldn't say I haven't had that, but just the energy that they bring and their coachability and them being leaders, it kind of makes my job a little bit easier. So, I mean, it's an exciting opportunity being here. I'm coming from a 3A to a 5A, so it's a lot more it's a lot more athletes that I can really work with. So it's pretty cool having that. At Comfort, I actually coached the D line, so I kind of already knew somewhat what I was coming into. So it's a pretty neat experience being here.
So what did you play when you were in high school?
I was a defensive end.
You were a defensive end, so you have a little bit of familiarity with those big guys in the middle.
It's kind of what I know. I wouldn't say I know everything about it because I definitely don't. I'm learning something new every single day, but I was a defensive end.
So which coaches do you lean on that have that experience with the D-line when you have a question? Who are the other assistants you might go to?
Man, I definitely go to Coach Beef. I know he's not here right now. He answers a lot of my questions. If I have a question, Coach Lopez, the DC, he's very open door. Like, hey, if you have a question, let me know. But really, all these guys have pretty much kind of taken me under their wing at some point with answering a question. I mean, it's my third year coaching, so I'm just trying to learn as much as I can from everybody at all times.
Well, and you've been through a couple of places already, and that's indicative of the coaching profession. There is a lot of turnover. A lot of guys are always looking for that next promotion. Sometimes it's not within the same team. This is really the first year in a handful of years that we've only added one coach. So I kind of like that stability on the coaching staff, and that goes a long way to describe the kind of atmosphere that Coach Price is putting out there on the staff and the program. Talk a little bit about that and the culture that you see coming in from a different program.
I mean, the culture is definitely, like I said, the students, the athletes here want to be here, and that's like the biggest thing that we need, and that's the biggest thing that we have. But like you said, that this is the first year there's only been one coach coming in, and that's kind of what I was looking for. Like, I'm looking for somewhere to call home for a little bit. Like,
right.
I'm not.
And that's what us as Leander fans want.
Yeah,
as
like
well.
I want to stay here. I like it here. I mean, this is where I wanted to be. Actually, as soon as I graduated from Texas State, I tried to work at one of these elementary schools as a PE teacher, and I thought I was going to get the job, but I ended up not getting it, and it didn't work out. So, like, I've been trying to get here. Now I'm here.
It's a tough district to get in, regardless of what your role is. If you're a kindergarten teacher, it's tough to get into this district. Mm-hmm. If you're, a advanced chemistry teacher, also tough to get into this district. So, getting your foot in the door is the key.
Right. And then you talked about the culture. I think Mr. Simpson does a very good job on.
Yes, sir.
Like, letting the teachers do their job. Like, he's not a micromanager. Like, he just lets you do what you think is right, and he's told us that from the beginning. Like, you guys are teaching. Like, it's you, and so it starts with him. Really, just like having that family culture that he's been building.
It's amazing. You put a little bit of responsibility in someone's hands, and they really want that responsibility, and they do. They flourish. That's a good observation.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit with Coach Price about the heat and working out. Talk about your defensive tackle. Big guys, heat, practicing, shoulder pads, helmets. How do you handle that?
These guys can be out there at 120-degree weather. These guys do not care how hot it is. They will be out there. And I'm the same way. Like I'm always outside. Like, you could definitely tell. Like, I'm super tan. I mean, look at my tan line. Like, like I'm super tan. I'm always outside. I like being outside. Being outside is my thing. Like, since I was a kid, I don't like being inside. So, like, these guys, they don't care how hot it is. Like, honestly, when they told us we couldn't practice today at 2:45, whatever, I was kind of bummed out, and I don't know if they were, because we were doing special teams inside.
So what do you do when they cancel practice because of the heat? You just go into the gym, or you go inside, or what do you do?
Well, today was actually the first day that we've actually done something like that, just because it was so hot. We actually just changed up practice. Instead of doing special teams outside, we did special teams inside. But then we still did our full practice outside.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, nothing changed offensively, defensively, just special teams went.
Do you help out with the special teams or other areas?
I try to. I like special teams. Where I was before, I had a big responsibility with special teams as well, and I just think it's fun to be part of and learn new ways to get the ball back. Really,
well, and Coach Price is not afraid to pull out one of those plays at some different times, and they've been successful, especially last year. Mm-hmm. We had a few of them.
Yep,
I'm all about the get the ball back. So, onsides and all that good stuff. I'm all about it.
So let's talk about Friday. We have Pflugerville come up. I don't want to get into specifics or what the plan of action is, but what do you see from Pflugerville on an offensive side, teaching the defensive line? What are you looking at?
I mean, what we're focusing on right now is they pass a lot. So we want, like, today was the first day that we actually did some some pass rush stuff and just working against our offense. So that's gonna be what we're gonna try and shut down first, and then stop the run.
They've got some mobile quarterbacks as well, and a lot of athletes on the offensive side of the ball. So how do you contain those guys and keep them from getting outside?
I mean, we just got to hold our gaps.
Do your job.
You got to hold our gaps. Do your job. That's it's simple. Simple.
It's simple until you have to push a 280-pound kid out of the way to do your job.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Well, we're looking forward to Friday night. We're going to see them all out there, and we're excited. We're going to be broadcasting the game. And thank you for coming up. And
Yes,
it was nice
sir.
meeting you. Appreciate it.
Nice meeting y'all.
Welcome aboard,
Yeah,
Coach.
thanks.
Just wrap it up.
All right, so wait, we got a couple kids we're going to bring up here. First player, Joe Weesey. Want to make sure. Go ahead and put that on. Nice to meet you. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Joe, good to meet you.
So want to make sure we're pronouncing your name correctly. Weesey.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Joe Easy.
that's what we've been calling him for the past year or so, but you just never know, Chuck, when we see these names, and we hope we're calling them correctly.
Usually Mom will come and tell me if I'm announcing it incorrectly over the PA, but the broadcast not as much.
So tell us about yourself, what position you play, what's your favorite part of the game? Let's talk about that first.
I'm a defensive end. I also play a little tight end in the scrimmage. I actually got the ball. That was
Nice.
exciting.
There you go.
That was first time in my high school career that I actually got to catch a pass. That was pretty neat.
What was your route?
Just a little. They call it a naked, and it's just you pretend to block them and just run a little squirt.
Okay, kind of a little dump pass.
Uh-huh.
Okay, nice.
Did you get any yards after the catch?
I did.
There you go.
There you go. So
Even better.
one catch, one touchdown. Hey, any vacation? Did you go anywhere? Do anything fun?
In June, I went to Cabo with my family. Had a good time out there. Stayed at some resorts. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah, well, I actually went out there not too long ago for a wedding. We had a group of families that went out there, and we had never been there either, so I thought it was fun. It was a nice place.
I had a great time. And then the rest of my summer, I did all the strength and conditioning camps. Made sure I was there for that. So
Okay.
we're ready for the season.
So talk about this season.
We're excited for this season. We got a lot of young guys, and they're all very bought in. Like, they show up to everything. We have, like, record participations and all, like, summer camps. Everyone's there every day, and everyone's doing their stuff. And
Good.
that's something that I haven't seen, like on this scale ever here. And that was really cool to see.
I've been doing this a long time, and that is exactly a dead-on statement there. We haven't had the numbers in the past, and the excitement surrounding the participation is always kind of lacked. And even if it started out good, it kind of waned as the season wore on. But you can see year in, year out, there are more kids in the program. They're more excited to be out there working. And it's not just I'm doing this because, that's what you do in high school is play football. No, it's the guys enjoy the sport. They enjoy being with one another. Talk a little bit about the importance of that camaraderie and the time you spent together really grinding in this heat, because that is something to hang your hat on, because, granted, every other team in this state is also grinding in the heat. But a lot of teams and a lot of kids, they don't have that intestinal fortitude to push through that and be excited to be out there. Talk about that a little bit.
The heat, it definitely tests, like, your patience. And you got to learn to kind of deal with that. And I'd say it brings us closer because we're all going through it together. And then even we're having to take water breaks this year because it's so hot, like 5-minute breaks. And it's a time where you get to, like, talk to your teammates about practice and just, like, build that bond that's so important.
How much water are you drinking a day, do you think?
I fill up my gallon. I fill it up in the morning, and I try to finish it before football, and then I'll fill it up when I get back home. So I'm probably about a gallon and a half. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, it's one of the things covering the games we see a lot, especially early in the year, are cramps in early parts of the game. And no matter how much preparation you do out in the heat, you get out there and the pace of the game is just a little bit more than it is in practice. You push yourself even a little bit more. And if you're not hydrated, you could be limping off the field, and the Lions need you out there, right?
I've never been like a big cramp guy. Like I've never cramped, but this year I've been cramping really bad.
It happens.
And Coach Beef has these like packets for us with like what's the right word?
Legal substances, I'm sure.
With like sodium or whatever.
Yes.
Like the liquid IV kind of deals. They taste terrible.
Yeah, but they help your body absorb that water.
Yep.
They help for sure.
For sure.
So what do you want to do after high school? What are your plans?
I'm going to go to college. I'm going to apply to some schools. I think my 3 biggest schools I'm going to apply to are UT. That's like my dream school. I'd love to get into there, but it's hard, you know. It's one of the most.
It's always been hard.
And so I'll apply to there, and then I'll also apply to UTSA and A&M.
What do you want to do? You want to play football? You want to play sports? You want to go into some type of field? What do you want to do?
I mean, if a school calls you up and says, hey, come out.
It depends. Like, if that happened, I'd have to, like, weigh my options. With football, for me, it's always been, like, something I do because it's a lot of fun, and I love it. I love, like, being out there with all the guys. And, like, I just enjoy the game itself. It's never been, like, I'm trying to go to the next level. I'm probably going to go to one of those schools for something in business. That's what my stepdad does, and it's something I could see myself doing.
But if there's an opportunity, obviously you'll look at it, right?
Yeah.
I think anybody would. Yeah, you definitely look at your options. So.
Anytime you can get a reduction in tuition and fees, you should consider it.
College is expensive these days.
It is.
Yep. Well, hey, thanks for coming up. Nice meeting you. Good luck this Friday. We'll see you out there on the field.
One more.
One more. We have another player coming up, Joseph Morrow. Come on up. How are you? Good to see you. So first of all, the long hair, how is that in the helmet this summer? Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm great.
You didn't want to cut it at any point?
I'm going to cut it before, like, homecoming.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. What do you play? What you do this summer? Let's talk about that.
I'm a wide receiver. I'm a wide receiver. And this summer I went to Aruba.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it was really fun. I went to a resort there, and we did a sunset cruise, so it was pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's where actually my wife and I went for our honeymoon, and I've always said I want to go back. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It was really, really neat. And I think we did one of those little cruises and stuff, and that was a lot of fun.
Did you do any surfing or
no, I cannot.
diving,
no,
snorkeling, anything like that?
No, the only excursion we did was the sunset cruise.
No fishing, nothing. No.
Lots of beach time?
Yeah,
okay,
a lot of beach time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No. So we just talked earlier with Joe about the heat in the summer. Talk about that. As a wide receiver, a little bit different than a lineman. You're doing a lot of running, a lot of sprints.
Yeah.
How has it been for you?
It's been all right. I mean, some days it's definitely hotter than others, but it's doable. Like, you can get through it. It's just –
And it seems like if there's a breeze, it's a little bit better.
Yeah,
but sometimes it almost feels like – a hair dryer because it's so hot and the wind is just blowing at you. It almost feels like a hair dryer. But when there's no wind, it seems worse.
And sometimes even like the wind, it's like the air is just hot too. So it's like that makes it like harder as well.
Yeah. So talk about some of the drills you do as a receiver. What you did even before you got into the practice times. What were you doing to get in shape? What were you doing with your friends prior to practice?
Well, in the summer at the strength and conditioning, we did a lot of like game scenario stuff. So it's like a lot of conditioning. Like you have to run this amount of time and get down and back. So that helps with the conditioning part of it. And during the season, we work on like blocking, just our plays and everything. So. And
that's Chuck and I have talked about that. I almost get more excited about a great downfield block, springing a running back or another receiver get into the end zone than catching a touchdown. I know it's different because you catch it and you score, but I love seeing that big block downfield to spring someone and let them go.
Yeah,
it's definitely exciting.
You're likely to get a much louder call from Mark or I if you throw a block and that springs a touchdown than you actually catch one.
Yeah, because that takes effort. I mean, it's hard to get a downfield block because you can't be chopping at the legs or
It's
doing
open
something crazy.
field.
It's open field. They see where the running back's going. You have to
You can't
feel
see
and
him.
read their eyes and actually do your
Yeah.
job of trying to, at least just get in the way. You don't have to knock them down.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great if you do, but hey, if you can just get your body
Get in the
between
way.
you and the running back or the receiver and let them get by. But it's great seeing those, blocks downfield. Now, they took away the crackback, right?
Yeah.
My favorite block.
Those were fun back in our day, but now they can't do it anymore because
Yeah.
people get hurt, and I understand that. But just the blocking downfield. Talk about that. What do you do during practice? Do you work on that a lot?
I would say a decent amount. Yeah. I think because it's important. It's important to make sure you can do that for your running backs and everyone behind you to try to get in the end zone.
And then talk about the drills that you do receiving. Or you do the trees? Do you do certain routes?
Yeah,
What do you usually do
days-
during practice?
Certain days we work on like certain concepts, like route trees, like concepts that we would do for that week for that team, depending on like how they line up and everything like that. So yeah, we worked on certain stuff like that today. That's what we did.
So Coach mentioned some sophomores in the secondary, and being a receiver on the offense, you're facing these guys head to head pretty regularly. Talk about their ability to cover and how they're coming along, because being a sophomore and finding yourself on varsity can be difficult.
Yeah, they're young, but they get the job done. They're holding their own on it, and that's always good to see, especially as a senior.
Yeah, we
Like
like
the
to
younger
hear
guys,
that.
and they
Yeah.
do good. It's a good look for your team if the younger guys are even doing good.
So talk about Pflugerville without getting into specifics.
Yeah.
What kind of defense do you see them on film? Now that of course may change during the game, but do you see more man? Do you see more
Yeah.
zone? What do you see in their secondary?
It's like a mixture of both. For like the corners, they play like 6 yards off and they're manned up, which is kind of weird in my opinion, but that's what their corners do, and they usually run like one high safety. So he sits around like the middle of the ball. Wherever the ball goes, that's where he was going, at least in the film that we saw.
Well,
Okay.
generally they have a very athletic defense, and especially the back end there, the secondary guys are a lot of times they're lanky, tall guys as well. Do you
They
see
have-
anything that sticks out?
They have the two same corners from last year.
Yeah.
So that might, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
But
they've
they're
had a year.
returning.
They've had a year to get better.
Yeah.
So how do you like the offensive scheme so far? I know we're not going to get into
Yeah.
details here, but how do you like it?
I think it's great. We got some talent. I think we got some serious potential on offense this year.
Good.
I'm excited for it.
Because I know the coach was talking about the lines, and obviously, when we're calling the game, you see the skilled players out there, and it's great to have them. But if you can't control the lines, the skilled players don't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
If the lines are getting pushed
sure.
back and forth, but if the line is actually holding on offense or defense, skilled people can show what they can do. Gives them a little more time.
For sure.
So talk about the entire team concept, the offensive line, blocking for you guys, giving quarterback time to let you run your route. Instead of doing a quick route, you may be able to get downfield and do that. So talk about the team.
Yeah, the O-line is definitely, they can hold for a decent time because that's where some of our concepts come into play is we can actually go further down the field because they're giving us time to do that.
Yeah, it's a big difference. If the play can't develop,
Yeah.
you can't run it.
And Marble Falls, even then, they gave us time to get some stuff downfield. Obviously, the running backs had a great game, so they're doing good. Everything's going well.
Well, good.
How does the receivers room look depth-wise?
I think, yeah, we're looking good. We got some depth on our team, too. That's always a great sign as well.
You
We
got
got some-
anybody faster than you? No. No, you're the one. That sounds like a challenge to me. but-
Hey, I'm open to it. I'm open to
there you
it.
go. There you go.
No, good to hear. So what do you want to do after school?
Yeah, I'm going to go to college. I think I'm going to try to get into A&M and try to do financing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm going to try to do that. That's the goal.
What about thinking about playing at all?
If the option's available, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I might try to run track, depending on how this year goes, too.
Nice. Well, good. Hey, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming up. Good meeting you. And
Joseph,
good luck this
good to meet you.
Friday.
Thank you.
So, big round of applause. Joe Easy, Joseph Morrow. We want to thank Coach Price, Principal Simpson, Coach Flores, and then players Weiss and Morrow. We
And
want to
the
thank
Hobby Shop.
the Hobby Shop.
Let's
And
give the Hobby Shop a round of applause, guys. Let's go. I know all of y'all are going to be coming back out here getting memberships so you can do a little bit of
and Shark Burger for the food. So that'll be our first Varsity podcast. tonight. Come check out the Hobby Shop. And first game this Friday at Pflugerville at the field at 7 o'clock. So if you can't make it out there, and you probably should be out there, if you can't make it out there, tune in. We'll be bringing the broadcast to you. I'll be there. Chuck will be there. So, Chuck, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks all the players, and good luck this Friday. We'll see you out there on the field.
Go